the coaches that he's working with. Dean, would you introduce yourself, please, and get us going on your session? Go ahead.
Sure. Thanks, Wally. Thanks for having me. Hello, fellas, and Tim Bothwell. Bothwell, I don't know where you went to high school, but out here it's only 3 years, not 5. I'm not sure. So
Yeah. They used to have the old grade 13 in Ontario. A sidebar.
That's still 4, Tim. That's still 4. Your math class is off.
No. And 9 through 13 is 5, Dino.
Okay. Well, I'll accept that. Good answer. Good cover. Anyway,
it saved me my first year at Brown, by the way.
Yeah, no doubt. An extra year of prep. It's like CJEP in Quebec.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate the time here, guys. I've got till a little after 10 today, and then I've got to get on another call. But Wally asked me to introduce myself. I know Tom, I know Tim, I know Wally fairly well. Just for the other people on the call, I actually started playing minor in Calgary, and Wally actually used to run something called the Chinook hockey camps and Chinook hockey clinics with Don Phelps back in the day out of Village Square, and one of those rinks now is named after Wally. And it's funny because I'll never forget Wally teaching a couple of concepts on offense and defense in Village Square 1, and I remember Wally complimented me, and this is back in Bantam or midget, going, I was killing 1 against 3, and he's like, we wanted an example of somebody to kill and read pressure and contain, and he used me a couple times, and he told me after, he said, geez, you're pretty smart knowing when to pressure, when to contain. But that was about the extent of my my hockey greatness in minor hockey. So anyway, after I finished playing back in about 85, 86, I think it was, I had already started to move into coaching, and I guess I've been coaching and teaching and educating ever since. And as Wally says, my last work was in Romania, and working at in an academy that was essentially, it was paid for by the Hungarian government. There's a lot of geopolitical factors over there, and Romanians are still able to vote in the Hungarian elections. So it's a way of putting money into the Romanian system to essentially procure votes for the Hungarian parliament. So the academy over there was based in Transylvania, in Upper Transylvania on the plateau. Stunningly beautiful place. The local guys here would, if I said it, it would equate to Bragg Creek and Canmore area. That's kind of what it was like. The mountains weren't quite as tall, but just a stunningly beautiful area. And we were spread out in 7 different locations. Probably the farthest drive between the 2 outliers was 2.5, 3 hours. So I was able to go around to all the centers, and I was working with the coaches, as Wally says. And I just jumped in. I think Tim was talking about culture. I just caught the tail end. Tim, I don't quite understand what you guys were all talking about, but the importance of culture when you're working as a coach developer in a foreign country is very important. And I know Wally's had some experience overseas in Japan, and Tom, of course, with Red Bull in Austria. Culture is a big thing, and for me, I had to try to learn the culture as best I can from an outsider, as a foreign person who's coming in supposedly with expertise, but it's not just cut and paste. I can't just go and take what I know and hope it's going to work. I have to be sensitive to the geography, the politics, the finances, the relationships. There's so many socio-cultural variables there, and I have a tendency to sit back and observe for the first few weeks, and I build that into my plan, and then I introduce myself, and then I start to do a bit of an assessment during that time. And as Wally says, in a lot of these instances, you're working with people with a wide range of experiences, so it makes it challenging there's no one size fits all plan. You have to basically come up with an individualized plan for each one of these people. So I guess that's a little bit of an intro, Wally, and kind of what I did last. And obviously I've worked in other places as well, but that was the last stop. And prior to that, South Korea, China, Scandinavia, of course, Canada and the US, a bunch of countries in between. So it's been an interesting ride, and it's a great way to develop one's perspective, to be exposed to all these different cultures.
Your mic, Wally.
We could talk about culture and coaching, not only in different countries, but culture in our own country, and how the existing cultures seem to be the handicap to making progress. Anyway, Dean, I'm curious about the research you're doing, and I wonder if you can describe it. You've been at it a long time, and where are you at on it? What is it about? And just give us a bit of a summary of that, if you could.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just finishing my dissertation here now. So basically, I'm spending many hours during the day reading and writing and thinking, oddly enough. So my topic is on basically a nomadic coach, and what are the sociocultural factors that play a role on one moving in, like I said, as an outsider, knowing that you're on a timeline and a shelf life and a contract, and you're trying to move from outsider to insider in order to connect with the coaches that you're working with, the administrators, the players, the parents, whoever your clients are, and their support network. So there's so much change in coaching, just within your own country, within your own geographical location, let alone when you step outside of that. And even moving clubs, there's culture within a club, let alone the international aspect to it, or even just a provincial or a state aspect to it. So my research is basically looking at my last 10 years of coaching internationally, and both as a coach and a coach developer. And from my own perspective, like essentially I am the data, and how do I deal with the day-to-day challenges and curveballs that get thrown at me, and try to make sense of it. And I'm taking a sociological lens, because that's the school that I'm studying in with sport, and I'm applying that lens to try to help make sense of it. My intention is to, in the dissertation, I'm using an autoethnography, so I'm writing with a particular style, and I'm going to share several different evocative vignettes that are going to be anonymized, but yet try to act as a storyboard to walk other potential coaches through some of the day-to-day realities of life in the day in the life of the traveling nomadic coach.
That's every coach, right, Dean?
Hired to be fired, Bothwell. You know it, buddy.
I do, only too well.
Dean, you're talking about different countries, different cultures around the world, and now you're coaching. You're born and raised here, played here, coached here. And what have you learned from about the other countries that you might be able to apply here or are applying here?